Welcome, everyone, to the show and a very exciting episode on deck now. Not only was he on the cover of 2002's NBA Live video game, he's the second overall draft pick in the NBA draft in 1999. He's a three-time All-Star for the NBA. One of my favorite players from when I was a bit younger. It's Steve Francis, the franchise. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
Thank you for having me. Pretty well here in Houston, despite COVID, just still trying to stay safe and be positive.
Yeah, I got my coffee already. It's called Meet Me for Coffee, the show. Black coffee in my grandma's mug. It's actually metal, so I tried microwaving it and heating it up a couple days ago. It burnt my hands. I had no clue. How do you
Wow.
take your coffee, Steve?
What's that?
How do you take your coffee, Steve?
Well, cream and sugar. I like espresso. Colombian.
Beautiful.
I like Colombian coffee.
Well, man, with a deep voice like that, man, Colombian coffee really suits you, man. There's one thing that a lot of my fans, when I pitched the idea of you coming on the show, wanted to know, and let's get it out of the way. The transition from the NBA to the Chinese Basketball Association. Can you describe what it's like playing in a different country almost full time, and how did that go for you?
For me, I thought basketball, but really it was an admiration because I knew that Yao came to the States to play um, for the Houston Rockets, and I seen how much it meant to the United States, and I seen how much it meant to the NBA. To return the favor, I decided to go to China and play in the CBA. It was hard for me. When I first got there, they wanted me to play the first day I got off the plane, and I was so jet lag of a 24-hour flight, and I'm like, I couldn't even stand up. So it was tough.
It's it was quite a time, right? I think Stephen Marbury went over there too to play.
Yeah.
So during your time in the NBA, you had, the answer, Allen Iverson. You had all those guys, Kobe, Shaq. What an amazing era to play. And what I want to know from you specifically is how do you prepare for games like in a professional athlete going to play, say, the Lakers? How are you preparing for that game?
Physically, you should already be ready, physically. And of course, it's all mental. A lot of things you have to get the Lakers psyche kind of out of your mystique about how many championships they have, their legendary Hall of Fame players, their stadium, their coaches, and all those things. And you have to believe in yourself and stick to the plan that you know and your coaches and your teammates that you work for, regardless of what it is. It's on the court, business wise, training, parenting, anything you do, study and prepare and go with what you have. Don't worry about the enemy.
And then when you guys added Yao into the mix, it almost was like almost a an equalizer with the Lakers, right? I mean, that big presence up against Shaq. Shaq really a scary person to drive the ball up against, or how did you feel about that?
I remember one time I went to the lane and I drove, man. I had a clear layup and he tried to block the shot. Even though I missed the shot, but when he fouled me, his knee hit my thigh and my contusion was like for 2 weeks. And it
Wow.
was like I couldn't even walk. But I still played, but I had to get treatment on it every day. So I had a real deep thigh contusion. It was crazy. It was black and red for a while.
So we talk about injuries. Let's talk about the scariest NBA players that you've gone up against. Who are some of your the ones that you're kind of scared of? Like, who are the most intimidating people to play one on one with, or even just in a game that that they're not covering you, but that eventually they're going to come around and maybe try and stop you.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah. The only thing I could say that I will be prepared or nervous about those lucky streak that people come off the bench and get those lucky shooters that come in the game and turn the game around.
And like when you practice, when you're on a lucky streak, you're super hot. Once you feel the momentum going your way, um, be it you or Kevin Durant or whatever. Like Kevin Durant's a pretty scary guy when he gets all amped up, right? He can put anything in the net. Um, and we talk about the evolution of the basketball game now. Do you think that people are more focused on being a more all around player nowadays? In
It's wild that you say that. I just made a statement for my team on our website that nowadays the game has evolved so much from position 1 through 5. Anybody can check anybody, and players don't just play point guard, center, shooting guard. So that's what when I said earlier about the scariest players, anybody can get hot at any time.
and you don't know like what exactly they're gonna or when they're gonna hit the iron, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's a guy, um, what's his name? Chris Boucher. He plays for the Toronto Raptors up here in Toronto. Yeah, I'm representing the Six. I'm a Pascal Siakam fan, and yeah, we've been through a pretty crazy uh, run around over the last decade and stuff like that. But yeah, Chris Boucher plays center. He can shoot a 3-pointer if needed. So could Marc Gasol when he played for us, and he still can. That guy's awesome. But Vince Carter is the guy who really put us over and put us almost in contention to go to the finals. He had such a big influence on the game of basketball up here, and I know a lot of people like Kevin Durant and others look up to him. Have you played against or had Vince Carter covering you at any point in time?
Uh, I would say that Vince is one of the most athletic, athletes that play the game. I seen that when he was in college. In the NBA, the same way. He held Toronto down for his whole career, and I thought that by him getting traded to so many teams, I thought he would finish completely with the Raptors. But guarding him, you like I said, interchangeable. I didn't play his position, but we had matchups sometimes we guarded each other, and I'm surprised you didn't bring up the biggest matchup that me and Vince ever had. Do you know what that is?
Slam dunk competition.
So that right there alone was more of seeing how athletic it is to go up against somebody like that. And his creativity with the competition with Tracy, also myself, that right there was another level for me.
Did you know that he was going to pull the ball through his legs or no?
I didn't even know what was going on. Even though it was loud in there, it was quiet. To me, I was in competition because I knew, like, what is he trying to do? And I never saw anybody actually try to put their mind together to put their hand in the rim or yet alone jump for the free throw line with two hands.
On like unreal athleticism for sure. Um, Explain what it takes to perform on a stage like the slam dunk competition. Like, what kind of who helps you come up with the dunks? Do you come up with the dunks? You have to make sure that you can actually execute them. Um, how did you configure your set list or whatever you want to call it for the dunk competition?
Well, a lot of people prepared. I didn't. I was totally off adrenaline. There was one dunk you had to do with a partner. That was it. We didn't focus on that as much. I was focusing on trying to get 50s every time. So I would say for me, the hype of being where Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Spud Webb, Dominique Wilkins, and I'm here on this stage at the dunk contest where millions and millions of kids across the world would want to be. And I was blessed to be able to compete. And that's what I wanted to take advantage of.
It's unreal, talking to a professional athlete that has been there. Your team at the time when Yao came in, that was almost like the complete click, right? It clicked for you guys. T Mac. You also had Rafer Alston on that team as well at some point in time. Um, what an awesome team. But now we look forward and also look backwards at the same time. Like a guy like Tracy McGrady, for example. Yeah, he was an amazing player, but is there ever a thought in your mind that you can be like, hey, I wish I could have won a championship or how does an athlete retire and not think about that?
Everybody does in any sport. Everybody's, if you're an ultimate competitor, you want to be that person to raise that trophy. Um, I think for guys like Charles Barkley, who's a Hall of Famer, guys like Steve Nash, Allen Iverson, guys like myself, guys like Baron Davis, who, we put our all in this game, and not to win a championship is not that it defines our career, but we just didn't win a championship, but we were able to compete with the best players for our career. So I'll take that over not being able to play in the NBA any day.
That's an amazing answer. Now things are a bit different. They have these super teams. So it's like, hey, this guy wants to come play here. Most recently, James Harden from the Houston Rockets, and he's joining the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and maybe Andre Drummond as well. That's what I'm hearing. But like, how has the game changed since you left?
It's a lot of social media involved. It's a lot of TV money. The ratings aren't as well, despite COVID, but there's a lot of money for them to play around and build these teams. And guys are, more. They aren't. They're least reluctant as our predecessors, the guys before us. They were super hard nosed, but the rules have changed, and people want to play buddy ball nowadays and play with their boys and compete on a level. So that's what it's come to. But I don't think, um, as our era, that's what we did. We didn't really team up like that. But this era, that's what it's about. So a lot of fans are starting to adapt to it.
Is that fair though? Like, is it fair for LA, who has all this cash, to make all these trades and bring all these disgruntled players who are playing for their teams now to join the Lakers, and then team up against you guys, or another team that's you know not as strong as the Lakers are? It's all about championships, right? And friendship now.
Yeah, I see. But there's no crying in basketball, just like in baseball. There's no crying. They're doing the same thing in baseball. They're not doing it in hockey and football, but in baseball, they're stacking. Look at that, all the other teams. So it's just like um, a money market. Whoever has the most money, they can have the most assets, and that's the players that they're getting. And the owners are taking advantage of that, and they're enjoying it. And those are the top teams. I think the list of the highest franchises came out a couple of weeks ago, and those teams are right up there, baseball and basketball.
Yeah, hockey is a bit hard, right, to stack your team because you have like a pretty small salary cap, and the big players now, they're commanding like $11 million, which is kind of nothing compared to some baseball players or other NBA players. But the way that the game's evolved, especially with the NBA, with we have the D League now, where you have your little farm team that you can call people up. Uh, Lots of great players are able to get those opportunities, especially when there's an injury. It's a great time for you to shine. Um, who are some of your favorite up and coming players in basketball?
Well, I'm an old school guy. I like guys who, who pass the ball around. Chris Paul to me is one of the most professional players to play with, despite him being traded so many times. Um, he's been able to, manipulate the game to where he's able to, despite his age, he's able to fit in with the younger crowd. So I think that's a good thing.
What about Zion Williamson?
He's a talent. He hasn't played a full season yet, but off of potential and on paper, I mean, he's right there on the board of climbing to be a star in the league.
Pascal Siakam?
He's the glue for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, he was an unsung hero for the championship team and still is. And I think he's carrying that franchise. And I think he deserves a little more respect from a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too. For some reason, like, I know it is with every sports fan. You can either you hate him sometimes, and then other times he does really well, and then now you love them. But the Raptors are not. They're not in that phase to win a championship right now. They're actually, they're ready to try, but their big guns are gone. So I think they were kind of investing their time and opening up salary cap space to go for another key player. But Pascal Siakam is great. The team of, Pascal, Norman Powell, Fred Van Fleet, Kyle Lowry, and then you have Aaron Baines as the centerman. But I would have definitely kept Serge Ibaka, one of my favorite players. But yeah, you're right. Pascal Siakam does deserve a lot more credit, just because like he hasn't been playing that long, and he has such a crazy. Uh, there's so much possibilities, right? That he's so talented, and the best part is, I think that he doesn't get winded when he runs, so like he's super in shape.
That's always a positive, and if that's your best player's approach to the game, the other guys will follow. And like I said, the game has evolved so much, and there's so many things you can do to stay in shape. There's so many things that you can do nowadays to keep your body. You see how much money they're spending now to stay in shape. We didn't have access to those things like the people before us did. And like I said, the game is evolving around these players, and hopefully it'll continue to progress.
I'm glad you like players that pass the ball, because there's a lot of players that they command the ball and they just hog it the whole time, and it doesn't make for entertaining basketball, or it doesn't help bring the team together either if the one guy is just trying to command everything. But yeah, there's a lot of great players out there. Uh, Being a player yourself, the how often do you work out? Do you work out after the game as well? Like I saw something on the Toronto Raptors where DeMar DeRozan went to go work out right after his game. You guys constantly in the gym?
Yeah, we are. It's starting to come back now. I know with the shortened season and the on and off with the COVID checking. So that's good for those guys to refresh their bodies while they're tired, build more muscle and endurance for this long season. So they're starting to get the memo about that. And I'm glad to see guys taking care of their body, because there's a lot of injuries with these traveling and turning around season to season that fast. So I think it's a plus for the whole league.
Are the stakes higher? I mean, to be a player, because like in the NHL, they have player tryout contracts. Basically, if you're not in shape, you're done, right? Somebody else takes that place. But the way the game has evolved, I think, in the NBA is that it's anybody's position, it's anybody's game to play. If you come in and show up that superstar, yeah, he's going to get the time. But if you're playing way better than him and you're winning, they're going to keep you out there, right?
And a lot of times that doesn't happen, but now I'm glad coaches are starting to see that. Despite how much you're paying this guy or the hype that they're getting, hey, we got to go with making this team work together as a unit. And you're seeing that a lot with a lot of these young coaches trying to change the norm from the farm system with the same old coaches going from team to team. So you're seeing different dialogue and different play calling, just like the NFL.
And finally, my last question to you, Steve: can you still dunk?
You said what? My bad.
I said, can you still dunk the ball?
In my dreams, nah, I don't try. I'm 43. I'll be 44 next month, man. My dunking days are over. But I had a great time when I was above the rim.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Steve. I really appreciate it. Um, Again, Steve Francis, three-time NBA All-Star from the Houston Rockets, most notably, and he also played for the Beijing Ducks in the Chinese Basketball Association. The franchise, Steve Francis, right here on Meet Me for Coffee. And then in closing, let's be good, have some fun, and love one another. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank you.